Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome to Islamic economics. Our topic for today is production. So production in Islam. Philosophy of production in Islamic economics. The philosophy of production in Islamic economics is based on the philosophy of the creation of the universe. In Islam, all universe or alam is created by Allah. Allah is the creator of the universe. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. All the praise to Allah, the Rabb, the creator of the universe. And Allah has created human beings with a purpose. Allah says in the Quran, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وما خلقت الجن والإنس إلا ليعبدون. Allah says, and I would not create jinn and human beings except for them to worship. So the purpose of the creation of human beings is to worship Allah, to perform ibadah, which means that human beings are the servants or the abd, the servants of Allah. All resources created by Allah in this world must be processed and transformed into final goods and services and sold to consumers for consumption. So there are many resources created by Allah in this world. Allah created everything. Allah creates trees, land. Allah give us the the manpower. Allah bestows us with the resources. Okay, resources on the earth, the trees, fish in the seas, the animals, all to be consumed by human beings. But in order to be suitable for consumption, the resources must be processed and transformed into what we call final goods and services. Final goods and services are goods and services to be consumed by consumers, to be consumed by the final consumers. So before the resources can be consumed, it must be transformed. It must be transformed from the resources to become the final goods and services. Purposes of resources. All resources created by Allah are used as input to be processed to become output or final goods and services for the consumption of human beings. Allah is the creator of the universe. Allah has the absolute authority to decide on the purpose of His creations. Allah mentions in the Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم هو الذي خلق لكم ما في الأرض جميعا. It is He who created all that is on earth for you. Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 29. So, this verse implies the human beings have the right to use all the resources on earth for the for the consumption. Because Allah says it is He who created all that is on earth for you. For you means for your consumption. Producers as vicegerent or Khalifa of Allah. The majority of the resources created by Allah require human beings to transform the resources to become final goods and services suitable for consumption. For example, fish. Okay, fish is caught from the sea, right, and then needs to be cooked. Okay, it is cooked and prepared by restaurants, for example, before it is suitable to be consumed. Or the fish can be sold by the fish seller to the consumer, and the consumer, of course, needs to cook the fish. Okay, so it's the same for all the products. The majority of the resources require human beings to transform them before it become final goods and services that are suitable for consumption. So, in order to transform the resources to become output or final goods and services, the production process requires the effort of human beings. Okay, some of them become manager, some of them become, some of the human beings work as operators, and so it requires the effort of human beings. Allah has created human beings with various socio-economic status. There are some people who are in the top management, some people in the middle management, some people in the lower management, some people become the tauke or the owner, some people coolie, the the worker. So Allah has created human beings with various socio-economic status. Not all people are rich. Some of them are those people at the top of the company, they are rich. Some people at the bottom level, they are not so rich. So there are diverse kinds of people. The diversity of people requires them to complement each other in the production of various goods and services, and also in other economic activities. Kalau semua orang nak jadi bos, susah juga. Ada yang jadi bos, ada jadi kuli, ada jadi tukang sapu sampah, ada jadi penjual, ada jadi salesman. So there are diverse types of people. And the diversity of people requires them to complement each other in the process of production, to produce goods and services, and also in other economic activities such as selling and buying, marketing, transportation, and other economic activities. The production process involves several stages, from identification and extraction of resources to various manufacturing and assembling functions. For example, petrol, right? Petrol. So before the petrol can be used as a fuel for motor vehicles, okay, the mineral needs to be identified, okay, and then needs to be extracted from below below the surface of the earth, then needs to be processed, and then after the process and the production, then it can be used as petrol for the consumption of motor vehicles. So the production process involves many stages, okay, from identification and extraction of resources to various manufacturing and assembling functions. Throughout the production process, manpower is required, labor is required, manpower is required. So household will offer the manpower. So the manpower is required in the production process to continue the efforts made by others in the previous stages of production. So there are many stages of production, right? So, and many efforts by different people in the various stages of production until the resources is transformed to be the final goods and services produced and then sold to consumers so that the consumers can consume the goods and services. Okay, so producers are vicegerent or Khalifa of Allah. And the production process, the activities involved in the production process are also part of ibadah. Okay, so human beings involved in the various stages of production will be rewarded by Allah if the effort, if the effort is for the purpose of serving or for the purpose of seeking the pleasure of Allah. It depends on the intention. If the intention for Allah, even if human beings are involved in the production process, it is an activity rewarded by Allah. Resources are entrusted as amana. Amana or trust means the responsibility to obey the command of Allah. It means human beings have the freedom of choice and responsibility to use the trust or amana in the form of resources. So resources are amana given by Allah. Good actions will be rewarded if the producers produce goods and services which are halalan tayyiba with the intention to seek the pleasure of Allah, then it will be rewarded. However, if, for example, the producers produce goods, okay, which are haram, which are not tayyiba, and the producers cheat in the production process, then the action will be punished by Allah. Cheating will be punished by Allah. Producing goods that are haram will be punished by Allah. Producing goods which are not tayyiba will be punished by Allah. Okay? So, trust or amanah involves performing all obligations commanded by Allah and avoiding all prohibitions by Allah. The concept of amanah covers all aspects of human lives from religious worship. Okay, so Islam covers all aspects of human life. So the concept of amana, the concept of amana, the concept of abd or servant, it covers all aspects of human life. Not only it covers religious worship, it also covers all activities on the earth. All activities, including the production, production process, consumption process. So everything will be rewarded. Good deeds will be rewarded, bad deeds will be punished. Buat baik diberi pahala, buat tidak baik, buat jahat diberi dosa. So the concept of amanah covers all aspects of human life, from religious worship to economic activities on the earth, including production. All right. Any question? Miss Natasha Sinpro, what is your question?
Yeah,
What is your question?
no question, doctor.
Why you don't have question? Nor Azlina, what is your question?
Tadi soalan apa, doktor?
Baik, tak ada soalan. Pasal apa tak ada soalan? Muhammad Sukri, what is your question? Liana, what is your question? Wahida, are you sleeping, Wahida? Where is Wahida? You sleeping?
Saya rasa
Ada soalan?
tak ada.
Awak tak ada soalan? Pasal apa tak ada? Pasal apa tak ada soalan? Pasal faham semua? Kenapa saya tak faham? Tak faham apa? Tak faham benda apa dia ni cakap? Pasal faham ke pasal tak faham? Nur Hazira, what is your question?
Saya, Doktor.
Ada soalan apa?
Doktor, how
Ya.
about the people who are working in the production?
How about?
The people who are working in the production
Okay.
produce non-halal goods, but
Okay.
the instruction is from the above orang atas kan. So
Okay.
what about the people who are working in the production?
Oh, very good question. Okay. That is a complicated situation. There are some people who works in, for example, non-Sharia compliant companies, right? So they have no choice. For example, they work in a hotel that serves non-halal food. Some of them work in the conventional banking, which involves riba. Okay, some of them work in the conventional insurance, which is non-Sharia compliant. So, what do they do? Is it halal? Is it okay if they work in companies that are not Sharia compliant? Okay, so the first thing is try to avoid working in a non-Sharia companies. Means companies which produce haram products, right? If you cannot avoid, if someone cannot avoid, he has no choice. For example, then he can work. He can still work because it takes time to apply and switch to another job, right? But he must actively seek other jobs in other companies which are Sharia compliant. For example, currently, for example, he or she is working at a conventional bank. Okay, conventional bank is involved with riba, which is haram. وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَا. Allah permits and Allah permits trade and prohibits riba. So riba is haram. So what do you do? The person needs to actively seek other jobs. Kena cari kerja lain. But in the meantime, he or she can stay with the current job. All right. If the current job involved is directly associated with the halal, it is directly associated with the production of the haram product. All right. If he works, if he or she works in non-Sharia compliant, but he or she is not directly involved in the production of haram products, then it is okay. He or she doesn't have to find another job. For example, he or she is working as a janitor, sapu sampah, cuci bangunan di di bank konvensional. Dia tak terlibat pun, dia cuma sapu sampah saja. He or she is not directly involved with the production of haram products. Then it's okay. However, if he or she is the manager or the clerk who is directly involved with riba, then he or she must actively seek other jobs, apply for other jobs. Okay? In the meantime, stay in the job until he or she got another job in the Sharia compliant companies. Okay, any other question?
Doctor, is it berdosa for him to is it berdosa for him or her apa she stays until she got a new job?
Well, it is called darura. It is called darura because he or she must earn a living to support the family. Then it is not okay. It is okay, sorry. It is okay. As long as he or she actively seeks other jobs. Dia mesti secara aktif memohon mencari pekerjaan lain. Kalau tak ada pekerjaan lain, tak ada ni. Mohon pun tak dapat, tak ada. Kalau tak kerja dia tak boleh apa? Memberi nafkah kepada diri, tak boleh memberi nafkah kepada keluarga, dan dia boleh terus bekerja. Tapi dia mesti cari kerja lain. Kalau dia dapat kerja lain, dia kena berhenti dan ambil kerja baru. Okay. So, tak apa jika dia tidak ada pilihan. So, tidak berdosa jika tidak ada pilihan. Okay. Boleh Siapa tanya tadi?
Boleh.
Kalau ada pilihan, maksudnya dia kena berhenti dan buat kerja lain. Okey. Kalau tak ada pilihan, tak payahlah. No? Kalau tak kerja, macam mana nak memberi nafkah kan? Okey. Bagi siapa yang belum bekerja, nanti kena hati-hatilah bila nak mohon kerja. Pastikan tempat yang kita kerja itu syariah compliant, patuh syariah. meaning the company is not involved in the production of haram activities. The company is not involved in the production of non-halalan tayyiba. So that's why we need to know halal and haram, because in uh, in the production in the production in Islam, the producers must produce goods and services which are halal and tayyib, okay, which are halal and tayyib. Halal means permissible, tayyib means good or pure for the betterment of human beings. Okay, tayyibah maksudnya baik ataupun suci dan memberi kebaikan kepada manusia. Okay. Any other question? Boleh tanya? Good question. Apa lagi nak tanya? Asma. Are you sleeping?
No, doktor.
What is your question?
Tak ada, doktor.
Alright, we continue. Allah is the absolute owner of all resources, and mankind has been given the trust to manage the resources as the Khalifa of Allah. The resources should be managed according to the ways determined by Allah. In Islamic economics, producers must make sure that the resources utilized to produce goods and services in ways that are permissible, halal, in Islam. So amanah is the basis of economic transactions in the market. Exchange of resources in the market would not take place if the parties involved in the transaction would not trust each other. Allah gives strict warning. Allah gives strict warning to traders who cheat in the market. Traders who cheat in the market will be punished in the hereafter. So if we are producers, if we are sellers or traders, we must be amanah. Objective of production. The objective of production is prosperity of the earth. Mankind has been endowed with the ability to fully utilize the resources bestowed upon them on the earth for the purpose of consumption. Human beings must be responsible for utilizing the resources and process the resources to become the final goods and services suitable for consumption. To benefit from the resources, human beings need to fully utilize the resources. Okay. The resources, there are 4 types of resources: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship, that we will discuss later. And the human beings need to process the resources, land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, to transform them to become final goods and services for consumption. Human beings are given the task to produce goods and services from the resources provided by Allah. This responsibility must be carried out by human beings who have been entrusted with the responsibility as Khalifa appointed by Allah. The task of developing the earth should be guided by Sharia. Means the producers, sellers must make sure that when they process, when they produce goods and services, the goods and services must be halalan tayyiba, must follow the Sharia. Producers must make sure the whole production elements and processes are within the permissibility of Sharia, must be halal and tayyiba and fulfill the maqasid Sharia. All right, that's all the lecture for today. Any question before we start? Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Siti Rahmah, Nur Azlina, any question before we end
Ya,
our
setakat
lecture?
ni, setakat ni tak ada lagi.
Tak ada lagi, bila nak ada?
Kena baca dah takut.
Okay. So, wallahu ta'ala a'lam. That's all the lecture for today. Remember our date. Kita ada temu janji ya. 2 days from today, Wednesday, 27, 2 o'clock. Please be ready 10 minutes before 2 o'clock. Okay, for our midterm. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.